Okay, so the first book I have here is called Hearing and Writing Music. It's Professional Training for Today's Musician. Now, I saw this book on Amazon a long time ago, years ago, and it looked really interesting to me because it was talking about how it was a learnable skill to be able to hear any kind of music and be able to write it down on the paper. I thought that seemed really cool. What it is essentially, it's an ear training method. So when it starts out, it's going through the fundamentals of sound and the overtones and what an actual sound is, where tone comes from. And then it goes on to have all these various exercises that are teaching you how to recognize intervals and how to hear all the different relationships between notes. And for me, I spent some time with this book. It was probably about 5 to 6 months that I was really working on it. And I noticed a big jump up in my musicianship. And it just made my life a lot easier as far as being able to play things by ear, being able to transcribe, make charts, working with other people, writing music. It really stuck out as a book that helped me with my overall musicianship. So I would put this as probably the number one book out of the top 5 books. Okay, now book number 2 is the Norton Manual of Music Notation. And what this is, it's a penmanship book for your handwriting when writing sheet music. It teaches you how to make, like for example, how to draw the treble clefs, the bass clefs, how long to make a note stem, how big to make a note head. It's all about writing. And for me, this has been so helpful because so much of what I do day to day as a musician is I write music on paper. Like, you take notes, you make charts, you got to give something to other people. Like, say if your band is trying to learn a song really quickly and you have different types of musicians, they don't all read tabs. You can make a chart real quick, hand it out, and yeah, it's good to go. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the Norton Manual of Music Notation. Okay, so number 3, this is Pumping Nylon. This is a classical guitar technique handbook. And I think this is good for any type of guitarist because I went through this book when I was about 16 years old. And what I do professionally is not necessarily classical guitar, but what I learned from the classical guitar technique books is a solid foundation of guitar technique that translates to any genre. And I would say within this book, probably the most useful thing would be Giuliani's 120 right-hand studies. And what that is it's 2 chords, C chord to G chord, over and over and over again. And you have to use a metronome, that's the trick. And it's all the patterns for your right hand, thumb, index, middle, like 120 variations. And if you go through those or go through half of those, and then you also read about the proper technique for the angle of your wrist and the fingers, attacking the strings, proper left hand technique. This is such a solid foundation of guitar technique. So Pumping Nylon would be number 3 on my list. Okay, so number 4, Jamey Aebersold, the 2-5-1 progression, the most important musical sequence in jazz. And even if you're not a jazz musician, this is very valuable knowledge. What this is it's just like a bunch of scales, and it's a bunch of backing tracks. They give you a CD here. You still have a CD player. And it's all the variations of going through a 2-5-1 progression. And what's good about that is it teaches you when you're soloing, playing guitar solos or any kind of instrument solos, how to voice lead while you're soloing. And knowing how to voice lead, I feel like that's really the big takeaway of this book is when you have 3 chords, 4 chords, connecting those chords together and knowing which notes connect to which notes and to connect smoothly. I think this really just, it levels up your overall playing. There's so much vocabulary in here that you're gonna definitely learn some new licks having gone through this, and you're just gonna open up your ears and then also get you comfortable with playing over the 2-5-1, which hangs a lot of people up. But if you can kind of get to some level of mastery, you don't have to be the best at it, but some handle on this progression, it's going to help you with all styles of music. So number 4 is Jamey Aebersold 2-5-1. Okay, so number 5, this is Fernando Sor 25 Etudes. It's different studies that are centered around a specific technique on guitar. So it's kind of like when guitar was developing as an instrument, there were composers like Fernando Sor who were developing a vocabulary for the instrument. Like for example, if you had a technique where you were like droning a bass note, like boom, 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 and you're playing like dun 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 dun, and you're just droning that one note and having a melody at the top, he would have a whole piece around that. Or if there's like a pull-off method or a hammer-on method, he's thinking, oh, this is like a guitar technique. He writes a whole piece around that technique. So learning a handful of these, I think, is really useful. But number 5 is Fernando Sor, 25 Etudes. Okay, so just a quick honorable mention. Any kind of book that's teaching you how to read standard notation. So this is Mel Bay grade 2, but grade 1 is a great place to start, because when you have a decent grasp on the standard notation, your access to knowledge, it's just unlimited, because you can pick up a book, like for example, the 251, Jamey Aebersold. It's not necessarily a guitar book, but if you can read the music, you can read everything in the book. So I just had some of these. This is Mel Bay reading method, guitar method. Grade 1 is also good. I just can't find it. This is another classical guitar technique, Aaron Shearer classical guitar. It's going to be fundamental guitar reading and repertoire. And then this one gets a little more in depth, the melodic rhythms for guitar. So it's going to have pretty standard melodies, but it's going to teach you how to read all the different rhythms. So yeah, so any book that will teach you how to read music is definitely worth your time practicing. Okay, so that was my top 5 music books. If you have any questions, let me know. If there was anything I left out, let me know, or any books that you like, let me know. Share those, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.